a hint of pink, and then my makeup was like, okay, bet. What's up, friends? This looks way too posed. Hold on. What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another bucket list video. If you didn't see it a couple of weeks ago, months ago, I don't really remember, but previously I had made a New York City summer 2023 bucket list, which pretty much prompted this video because while making that video, I kept thinking of a bunch of things that I wanted to do related to baking over the summer, and then I realized that it would probably be better just to make that its entirely own video. So I kept my last bucket list as just things to do in New York City this summer. If you don't know, I live in Brooklyn and I don't get out of the house a lot, so I prompted myself with a couple of ideas. But anyway, you can check that out if you're interested, see what I will hopefully be up to this summer. But for this video, since baking is my hobby, it's my passion, it's one of the few things that brings me joy, I wanted to start a similar list, but for baking. And I think it's going to be more of like an ongoing list and not necessarily just a summer list, because I don't know, I think this will be a good way to hold me accountable to some like baking specific goals that I have in mind, and maybe just, you know, a couple times a year checking in with this list to see what I've done, what I want to add to it, and kind of just keep it a very fluid thing, if that makes sense. So while certainly my baking bucket list currently doesn't encompass probably every single thing I could think of to put on a baking bucket list, I'm gonna start with the things that I've just had in a random phone notes app. I feel like I reference my notes apps in every single video I make, but I seriously do just have a note for everything. So I just went through some notes to see things that I've written down, whether that's recipe ideas, bakeries to go to in New York City, other things, and I'm gonna put it all into one collective video for now, and then I guess this will be a series. Welcome to my baking bucket list series. But anyway, let's get into it. I do very much love baking. It's what I do in my free time. I love visiting new bakeries, especially ever since moving to New York City. There's obviously a ton of them. So many good things to try, and I feel like I've been able to expand my baking knowledge, experiences outside of my kitchen a lot more since being in the city. So that's been really exciting. Unfortunately, I'm not a baker by trade. I don't like make or sell things, though that would be nice. Maybe in the future we'll manifest it. All right, so I currently have everything broken down into bakeries, recipes, and other. I guess we'll start with bakeries. I guess that'll be kind of fun. We'll start with bakeries. So obviously, like I was saying earlier, New York City and Brooklyn, there's so many bakeries, so many things to try. And of course there are the popular ones. There's the Magnolia Bakery, there's the Bork Street, which, my god, I love Bork Street. There's Paris Baguette, there's Lavon. There's a lot of the popular ones, and a lot of those I had been to and I like them, and I'm sure I could go back, you know, 50 more times and still try something new each time that I go. But I'm not going to include those on here. I'm including the things that I have just discovered from Instagram, walking by it, recommendations, things like that. Damn, the things that I really would do for a chocolate croissant from Bork Street right now, though. So in absolutely no particular order, the very first thing I have on my list for bakeries I want to visit is Supermoon Bakehouse, which is in the Lower East Side, and the reason I was drawn to them is because they make cruffins. Yes, you heard that, croissant muffins, and not only that, they make cruffins that are filled with just the most delicious creams and things inside that you could ever think of, and truly whoever runs their social media just deserves a raise and A+, because that is what drew me to it. The pictures are just so beautiful, and I mean, these cruffins could taste like absolute garbage. I highly doubt that they do, but they could, but I still want to go just because the pictures on Instagram look so delicious and so amazing. And I think even during June for Pride Month, they were doing some really awesome, amazing, delicious looking rainbow croissants, which I would have loved to have gotten one and supported the foundations and stuff that they were donating money to, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to get over there. I want to go get myself a cruffin. I want to go make my own fancy little Instagram post out of the experience, and highly recommend. I mean, I haven't eaten there yet, but highly recommend you check it out. And so speaking of croissants, the second thing on my bakery bucket list is L'Appartement 4F, which is in Brooklyn, and they are the people, the bakery, who made the tiny little croissant cereal, like the tiniest little croissants in cereal form. And I'm not actually sure if they're even like offering that as an option anymore at their bakery, but if they can make really good tiny croissants, I'm sure they can also make really good big croissants. So I just love to get over there and try whatever they have. If they happen to have some little teeny tiny croissants, I will certainly be partaking because they're so small. Okay, so I'm now just realizing that everything that I have on this list is croissant related except for one thing. So to break it up, I'll go to my next one, which is Chip City. It's a cookie place. From what I can tell, they make really delicious looking cookies, and I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I love me a good chocolate chip, love me a good oatmeal raisin, peanut butter, sugar, toffee, whatever. Just give me a cookie, give it to me right now. It better be crunchy, but also soft and warm and gooey, and I should feel like I need to puke after eating a really good cookie, but like in a good way, you know what I mean? Oh, and I think there is a Chip City in Brooklyn, but I'm pretty sure they're all over the place, so wherever I can find one, I will go. Okay, now back to the croissants. The next place I want to go to is a bakery in NoHo. Actually, I think it's a full-blown French restaurant that serves very expensive food. So I don't think I'll be going there anytime soon. But they also have a bakery storefront. It's Lafayette in NoHo. Their croissants, they make and sell these really cool circle croissants. Like, it's just like a perfect circle. Again, you can look at their Instagram and I don't know, something goes off my brain when I just see really beautiful food, I guess, especially if it's a croissant. But rather than having filled croissants, they roll up the dough into really tight circles with a lot of flaky layers, and then they put different like creams and frostings and whatever it is on top to make just really aesthetic looking food. And I look at it and I can't not try it. So those look really fun. I'm sure with it being a French bakery, they make a bunch of other really great stuff too, so maybe I'll try something else, but like my brain just goes to croissant every time. And the last thing on my list for now, again, there's 1,001 bakeries I could be visiting like today in New York City, but we're starting small so we can build up to something, you know? Last but not least, I have Dominique Ansel Bakery, and that is in Soho? They are in Soho, and they are a popular one actually that you may have heard of before, because I have to double check. They're the creators of the cronut, which has been popularized by a bunch of different brands and bakeries and whatever, but they are the originators of the cronut, so a donut plus a croissant. And my brain, again, fireworks just like go off every time I think of different ways I could eat a croissant. So I have gotten cronuts from other New York City bakeries before. I don't remember from where, but it wasn't from the original, and I feel like you have to try the original. I was gonna go there one of the last times I was in NoHo, not realizing at the time just how popular this bakery is. The line was like out the door, around the corner, and like I just don't got that kind of time, so I'll get there eventually, but now I know that I need to like plan for a wait because there probably will be one. But if that says anything about how good their cronuts are, then I'm willing to wait, you know? So that's my list for now for bakeries. If you're curious about other New York City and Brooklyn bakeries that I have tried since living here, definitely follow my Bake Shit Happen Instagram, because I have a highlight of various things, mostly chocolate croissants that I've gotten from bakeries around the city, and that's kind of where I've been documenting that. Whenever I hit up these places, you can definitely find them on that highlight. Alright, so moving on to recipes that I am really excited to make as of recently, and hopefully we'll have a chance to soon, but again, not an exhaustive list. There's a bunch of things that I want to make and a bunch of things I could add to this list, and I will be doing that as I go about my time. But the first thing I have on here is challah, and I mean, I'm a bread girly, if you can't tell by now. Made a lot of sourdough, I make a lot of just like regular loaves of artisan bread, focaccia, things like that. I love me some bread. But something I haven't tried yet is challah, and one, I'm sure it's delicious. I mean, I have had it before, but you know, whatever recipe I decide to try, I'm sure it's delicious. And I also just like the challenge of a braid. Braiding dough is also something that I haven't done before, I believe. Or at least like twisting it, braid, I don't know, whatever. But I love a good challenge of how intricate challah can be, so very excited to try that. I also want to do it so I can then, after a few days, assuming I don't eat the whole loaf in just a day or two, because that's always a possibility, I can use it to make some French toast, because doesn't that just sound amazing? Alright, next on my baking bucket list for recipes, well, this isn't so much a recipe, I guess, but focaccia art. As you all know, I have dabbled in some sourdough painting art. You can check out that video up here. But I've also, even longer than sourdough painting, I've been dying to try doing some focaccia art. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just people who make regular old focaccia, but before they bake it, they use different herbs, vegetables, other foods to create like really fun designs onto the focaccia that gets baked, and then you can eat it, obviously. It's very cute, it's very aesthetic. I've seen a lot of people do it. I don't know, I'm curious to try. It's nothing that crazy, but I love a cute little decorative food moment. Okay, so now's the point in time where we get into moments of like, Sarah, are you sure you want to attempt this? Are you sure you don't want to just like stick to what you know? The next thing I have been dying to do is eclairs. Why? I don't know. I love to eat a good eclair. I can appreciate a really good eclair. There's a bakery near the last place I used to live in Brooklyn that did some really fabulous chocolate eclairs. Or no, they did do that, but I meant to say coffee eclairs. They did absolutely phenomenal coffee eclairs, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. I just want to do your old basic bitch eclair. I have never made choux pastry before. I've heard from many people that choux is just not the easiest thing in the world. But I mean, at the end of the day, like my first try, it doesn't have to look good, it just has to taste good. I'm setting the bar pretty low for myself, but I would really love to try to make some eclairs and just see what happens. Okay, so this next one on here, I'm realizing is kind of not the same thing, but like, I don't know, it's kind of the same thing. You'll get what I mean. I really want to make Boston cream donuts. So you see what I mean? Like chocolate on top, vanilla custardy thing in the middle, some sort of pastry or dough to hold it all together. Totally different from eclairs, but also very similar. So I've made Boston cream pie in the past. I made one for my boyfriend's 30th birthday. If I can find a picture, I will insert it here. It was very cute and so good. And I've absolutely been dying to make it again, but I figured for the sake of having a baking bucket list, I would update it to be something else. So we'll go from Boston cream pie to Boston cream donut. Truthfully, I think I just love pastry cream. Like, I don't even need the rest of the Boston pie donut, and just give me a bowl of pastry cream and I'm going to be happy. For the next one, going in a slightly different direction, I would like to do a 4 or 5 level recipe in Dessert Person. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Claire Saffit's first cookbook, Dessert Person, she has like a matrix of recipes ranging in difficulty from values that she labels 1 through 5, with 1 being easy, 5 being not so easy. And technically, I have done, I think, 2 of the 5 level recipes because I tried to do the like sour cherry danishes, and with that dough I also made a couple of kouign-amann because I could, but I don't think I didn't do cherries, I did blueberry, which, I mean, all the same thing, but I feel like for it to count, I need to do the recipe as is. And the kouign-amann that I did with the extra dough, which was kind of like messy and something extra, and I don't know, it was fine. I would like to try something else, either in the 4 or 5 level range. I feel like it's been a little bit of time since I've tried a challenging recipe outside of just like getting used to sourdough. I feel like recently I've just been making like cookies and muffins and sheet cakes and easier things. So I'm up for a good challenge. We got the eclairs, we got the donuts, and I also want to do a higher level recipe from Dessert Person. So for sure, I think the Paris Brest would be a lot of fun. And speaking of Miss Claire Saffitz, though I love her, though she's my queen, if you've been around, you know that when I make sourdough, I pretty much just follow her method for it. And since starting my sourdough journey, that's all that I've done. So I would love to try other sourdough recipes from other creators, bakers. Like, at the end of the day, does it make that big of a difference? I mean, I don't know, I haven't done it. I'm sure for some people, sourdough is sourdough, bread is bread, but I would like to, I don't know, get more into the methods of other bakers, read more about sourdough in general, try other recipes, and whether that's with different flours that I have been using, the same flours, different additives, just something else. I don't know, I want to spice it up a little bit. And last but not least on my recipes section of my baking bucket list, I've talked a lot about my sourdough painting redemption, which I've yet to do. It's on the list to do soon. There's something else that I need to redeem that I don't think I ever documented on YouTube or Instagram, and that's creme brulee. Yeah, I thought I had creme brulee in the bag and the only bag it went in was the trash bag. Oh my god, creme brulee. I shouldn't be that hard on myself. It wasn't that bad. It was bad. I don't know. I overcooked it, so it got eggy. Truly, I was shocked how eggy it tasted from being overbaked. Like, I just thought by overbaking it that the texture might be funny, and it was, but like the egg just really shined through on that one, and she found herself right in the trash. But using a blowtorch was fun. Moving on to my third and final section of my baking bucket list is the other category. These are just 2 things that didn't necessarily fit under bakeries or recipes fully. But the first one is to visit a store called Kitchen Arts and Letters It's a bookstore that supposedly sells like predominantly cookbooks, bake books, things of that nature, food related stuff. It's in the Upper East Side, so not an area that I'm around very frequently because I live quite far away from it. So I have to kind of go out of my way to go there, but I'm 100% down to do that. I think it would be so fun to explore a whole bookstore dedicated to the thing that I love, that thing being food. I definitely need to wait to go until like immediately after a payday because I can only imagine the type of money and damage that I could do in a store like that. And last but not least on my baking bucket list is to develop a new recipe. And I say new because I have developed recipes in the past. I don't think I've ever developed anything baking. No, that's a lie. I made a recipe for vegan like chocolate chip cookie sandwiches years ago. Honestly, the recipe isn't that good. I'll be the first one to say it. So you can watch the video, but like maybe don't make the cookies. They're more like cake. Beside the point, I have developed a handful of recipes. Many of them are on my YouTube channel. You can go find them. I'll put a list somewhere of the different things that I have done. I've yet to really develop a baking recipe, at least one that I was happy with. I have like kind of tried a couple different things over the past couple of years, but I either give up or it's not good or whatever. But I actually have something in mind currently that I'm hoping to make in a video very soon, and it's an idea that I presented to my boyfriend, and then he kind of like took it to the next level and we brainstormed. I don't know, we went back and forth and brainstormed, and we think we have a good idea for something. So stay tuned for that. But this is also like an ongoing thing as well. I'd love to be able to develop a handful of recipes. I also would like to learn more about just developing recipes in general because I have so many questions about what that process looks like, especially for baking, just because compared to cooking, baking really is a science, and depending on what you are creating, it requires like specific ratios and specific measurements. So how often is a new recipe original, if that makes sense? Obviously, no matter what you're cooking, whether it's baking or not, like it's always gonna be inspired by something else that someone else did, and you can take bits and pieces of things to create your own. But with baking, I'm just like, maybe I'm putting myself in too small and tight of a box when I'm thinking about it. Maybe it's really not that serious, but yeah, there's just much more to consider with baking. So I would love to get more insight about the process of recipe developing for a baked good, and maybe I can find a book about it at Kitchen Arts and Letters, so we will see. Alright friends, well that is all I have for now. I will continue to elaborate on this list, add more things, maybe in a couple of months, like 4 months, 6 months, something like that. I will check in with another video to see what I have done, add on some things, and yeah, just a little way to keep myself motivated for baking and all the things that I want to do, all the places I want to go. So if you are a baker or enjoy baking, or enjoy trying baked goods of other bakeries, let me know down below what would be on your baking recipe or bakery bucket list. I would love to hear all about it. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you then.